detectives or people or given a certain problem in their, they were given a certain problem and they, whether the problem was handed to them or they came across it, they had this need to see the problem all the way through. Regardless of what higher up said, if the higher up said, no, you got to stop, they still had that need to go forward to find out actually what happened, not what somebody told them what happened, for them to actually find out themselves what happened. So that was that obsession trope that I wasn't quite sure, and I figured it. I think I figured it out. I'm really close to it. And then the fourth one was society's perfect yet oppressed women finding their sensuality, sensual reawakening, or finding their sensuality, because there's a bunch of films, even since I was young adult, all dealt with 40-year-old women finding their sensuality again, which is included like Natalie, In the Mood for Love, The Thomas Crown Affair, most recently The Chambermaid, which is a Korean film, and Girl with a Pearl Earring. So when I come, huh? Okay. So I put those thoughts together along with my along with the astrological descriptions to come up with the dream board. I'm coming back to the dream board.
I love the way you did all the modules. That's a great idea.
How did you do the tabs at the top? I'm gonna have to look for a like one of those little module lessons they have about doing that.
It's pretty easy. I'll move my screen over a little bit. You go to pages here at the top, if it will let me do this. Come on. Pages.
It's just slow.
Right when my computer was acting so wonderfully. There we go. So pages. So here you have this point here, and these are all the pages that are in the website right now. You see the little thing that has a circle with an X? That means you can't see those pages. But if you want to add one, you just press plus.
There.
Plus on the plus sign. And then it asks you what kind of page you want to get. Do you want to make a standard page, a blog page, a category page, which I'm not sure what that is.
Right.
Sales.
So I just go to a
You don't have to worry about it.
Standard page, click on that, and then it will generate a new standard page for you for the next place in your line, and you can type in whatever module you want here.
So the navigation up top, is what that is. It's the
Because mine didn't put my pages up top. Maybe it's because of the way I picked, like the design that I picked.
So we'll go to that when it's your turn. We don't want to.
Right. Okay. Let's not take a long this time.
We're coming back.
That's what private coaching is for.
To be honest, when I went to this Weebly page, this is actually based off of a page that I started 5-6 years ago that I forgot I had. So I don't even know how I got to this thing, but anyway. So I go back to the dream board, coming back to the dream board. Coming back, loading. Thank you. Should be there. Come on.
So the creation of each of these pages allowed you to do what?
At the beginning of the creation of each of these pages, this is the page that I just made. Are you talking about pages within the website, or are you talking about my dream board?
I'm talking about the act of going in and putting all of the information you've been researching into a format that's easy for you to process and move from page to page to page, idea to idea to idea, and help them build upon each other. So before, you guys were just looking at the class, and you would do the exercises and then email it to me. But the homework was never actually completely done. It was actually taking it through to the next step. And then when we would have class, everybody would have pages all over the place that they would be trying to find the information. Okay. In the past, people who've done well in this class, like Angela, would send me 15-page emails with all of the homework done. And then she would cut and paste after class. She would get all the notes and the feedback. She sent me these 15 pages. Then after class, she would put them all into a Word document with chapters. Lesson 1, lesson 2, so that it was all in one place. So every time we got to class, she would share the Word document and she'd be like, okay, chapter 1 was that lesson. So I didn't understand this. But seeing it all in front of her helped her build it. Another one of my clients just did it in a journal. She built a journal. She just got a scratch pad, one of those sketchbooks, and she did it with pictures and handwritten. And it was really beautiful. And she decorated it and covered it with fabric, but it was all in one place. So that she could put together all the information, because all the information that she's getting, it layers. You come to an understanding by doing it. So in class, I've just been talking because ain't nobody presented, right? Because you can't really figure out what the hell is going on until you really have done all of the work in its entirety, and you are answering each question and understanding that this idea leads to that idea, to that idea, to that idea.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because for me, this is a cut and paste of several different places that I've been writing. I have a notebook in addition to, where is that something? I have.
So you actually have all the supplies that I told you to buy?
Yes. I've been writing in this notebook. I also have a 3-ring binder that actually has all of these different pages actually printed out, and I flip through back and forth. This is just sort of a digital version of my actual notebook.
Good.
And when you said put things onto the website, I was like, oh, I can just put it all on here, and it's a lot easier for me to go back and forth. I have to say, by doing it online, it showed me where I wasn't done in certain modules. Like I realized in one of them, basically the movie one, I'm not done there at all, but it's where I made my most discoveries.
Why?
In the movie one.
Why?
Why? Because one, it came down to, because I'm actually watching all 100 movies, and I'm not just writing them all out. In terms of written movies that are my favorite movies, I'm at 45. But in actually watching each and every one of them and typing them out, I'm at 20. But it came down to the inner child learning to lead. It came down to I had some money and I was trying to watch Jumanji because I like both Jumanji and the new Jumanji. And I only had like $4 to rent on what is it? It was either iTunes or Amazon. And I said, which one, here it is, which one is going to be the best for me? And I had to go back to see which one did I love more. It came to that kind of question. Both of them have adults being childlike figures, learning to lead everyone through this conflict. But which one did I feel more closely related to, because I wanted to smile and laugh at that day. And I found out that it was the newer one with The Rock that pulled me more. And then I had to ask, why is that pulling me more than the original with Robin Williams? And it came down to being where Robin Williams is an adult that has a childlike soul, but the version of The Rock was, they're actually children in grown-up bodies. Just that slight difference made me pull towards that one more, because it wasn't adults acting as kids. They are kids rather than actors. And that's what sort of merged that, solidify that chord for me. I was like, oh, that's why certain, where are we? Let me see if I wrote that one down. Sorry, guys.
This is wonderful, Alana.
Yeah,
Arrival.
this is an amazing example. It's really fabulous.
I'll just use Florence Foster Jenkins, which is the Meryl Streep movie where she plays the woman who loves to sing opera, but doesn't sing at all.
So hysterical.
She's part of that chord. She's part of that chord, and it's beautiful because she is this childlike entity that everyone's trying to protect. But it's when she finally decides, the favorite scene from there was like when she finally decides to take things into her own hands, to go out and rent the concert hall. You see her drive herself for the first time. And that was my favorite scene. And I have a lot of scenes that follow that. Not the red violin.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to stop before we run out of time.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
want you to go back to the most recent assignment, which is the dream board.
Yeah.
Because now you have all this back information.
So that's the whole back info.
You do know, did I send you a note that I made some changes on your website?
You changed to just Alana website. I believe it. Yeah.
The note for everybody: when you finally publish your site, it makes everybody batshit crazy if people have to figure out a way to remember you and find you. Your brand is your name. Your website should be your name. Your professional actor's name. It's nothing else. Your email address should be your professional actor name at alanainez.com. Period.
Mhm.
It's part of branding. It's why when actors have Butter Brother 17 as their email address, I was like, do you actually want a casting director to remember who the fuck you are? Like, it's your brand. Don't cloud it. Don't make it, unless there's a real reason somebody else has your name or whatever, then use your full name. Right? Here's another thing people always use. The official site of, or actor, da-da-da-da-da. If you have to tell people what you are, it means you aren't really it.
Yeah.
People who have FB, Facebook handles where they're like, writer, actress, singer, so-and-so and so. I was like, if you was really a writer, actress, and singer, you wouldn't even tell us. We just know your name and associate with that. That's what
right now, I already have another permanent website that is just alanainez.com already up. So I didn't want to clash with them too much.
You can take the emotional chords and link it to that website and just make it a page on your website, and it just comes through.
Okay. Yeah, I could do that.
Easy lemon squeezy. Now, the actual homework of Module 7 is to start with the 2-word memes. You combined 1, 2, and 3. 2-word memes with images.
Oh.
Actually really trying to break it down for you guys to make it easy. But this is where you're going. Where I would like you to add this is, and everybody make a note. 2-word memes are the emotional type or the archetype. You don't know what an archetype is? Go to the top in the introduction of the 12-step. The 2-word meme is the archetype. The emotional chord is the archetype plus the lesson you were put here to learn. So I would wager if you went back to your 4 major emotional chords that you wrote, Alana, they would have all of these archetypes from the 2-word memes plus the lessons you have to learn. You automatically put that together by doing all of the work. So now I would like you to create a slideshow. You can put in mystical and childlike. I want you to put all of these in a slideshow, and I want you to add in the lessons that you have to learn, and then the 4 major chords. I don't care if the language isn't perfect yet. It's a process that you continue to add on to, but you actually have to do it to actually understand it. So is that clear? You're going to add the 4 major emotional chords. You're going to add the lessons you were put here to learn, which are in your module.
Yeah, whatever.
Modules 1, and 2 are basically the lessons you were put here to learn. Put those in a sentence. Stick them in there. So that we have the lessons you have to learn from your horoscope, your rising, your sun, your moon, your true node north. You can include your imago. What is that lesson that you learned? Right? In your 100 scenes from movies, you should include your imago scene. Maybe you actually want to write a scene for your reel that encapsulates a really important emotional chord. And if it's something that really happened to you, it will be easy to write. I will help you edit it. So that we really are visually creating a teaching tool to have your meeting. You're going to build on. And the more you talk through this, the clearer it will become. So now we're going to combine all of the memes into one slideshow.
One slideshow. Okay.
Okay. So you've already done the homework. You all like mapped out. Talk to me after class about a special assignment that I want.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Alana.
You're welcome.
Very informative.
Great, babe.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop sharing now.
Thank you, Alana.
You're welcome.
Slade. The other email that you got was a calendar reminder for next week, which is to start loading your modules to your website so you can see everything that you have.
Great idea. Yeah.
So that's what's coming.
Okay.
Alana,
So I just
emailed 17 times because she's really.
yes, I am. It's Virgo.
Well, I have other Virgo clients. They ain't quite that. Well, Justine's a Virgo. She don't be that. Actually, Justine doesn't send 17 emails. She just corrects something and goes, that's already done. Because, what she's inferring is that's already done because clearly you were not going to do it, so it had to be done. But she doesn't say that. But that's what's going on. That's already done. I sent that to you in an email dated July 17th, 1907.
see, she's a nice Virgo. I'm the one that said.
Cross-reference that before you ask me that question. You've asked me that question 4 times. Hold me to it in 3 different emails on these dates. I'm like,
I give attitude on that one. Got me in trouble.
like, you know what? Your time is coming.
Okay.
Time is coming. Because not all of us are that organized to keep up. Some of us are just juggling a lot of things.
Okay. Okay.
No. That's in a spreadsheet from the email that I sent you last week. It's also in the Google Drive. Do you need me to send you a screenshot of it? No, I'll look for the
I am that person.
I know you're not going to read this, and this is what I really like. I know you're not going to read this email, but I actually need to write it just so that I am clear about where we're going.
Yes.
It's an email that says, I know you're not actually going to read this. Of course you're going to read it. And you're like, I have just been supervised and called out in the same breath.
And that was before
the email is
that was before the class started.
Events. It's a timeline. On this day, this happened. So my understanding of it was that this. Moving to point 2.
Before the class started.
So I'm getting the facts, but I'm also getting cussed out in a very organized way. It's okay. So understand how Virgo works. There's a place for you all in this world. It's an important place. Okay? Who would like to go next?
I'll go next.
I love that she's all, Justine is so soft and like quiet and polite and mellow in this class. It's such a front. It's just
What do you want me to do? I just said I'll go next.
a front. If you're ever in the writing classes, which Rachel, Justine has done, where everybody shares their work, people are like, Justine is so sweet that she shared her work. People are like, oh my God. Because the characters that she writes actually don't have a filter.
Where am I?
So, had read what I sent you, you might know that, but since you didn't, I was like, oh my God.
When that pops up, this pops up right when I'm saying that. Okay, so my first one is
You can't see your screen.
oh, you can't?
No, all we see are these lines. These and then there's that.
Oh.
We see nothing. Meme with that example. So you can take a still shot from the scene. Just take a snapshot of it, put it into IPL, and then type out the description you just discussed.
Oh, okay.
Now, Alana put a brief narration when she wrote down, her scenes. If you need that, you can. I don't need that. I just need the scene.
Okay.
Tell me how the scene helped you come to this personalized archetype.
Okay.
The words that you just use.
Okay.
So that you would have a meme that's, a little paragraph about your chords so that you can start articulating them and reducing the language into something really clear and clean.
Okay.
Okay.
Sensual Moonstone. Being sensual and being sexy is something that I don't claim, but I know that it's something that I have. And I think, I'm going to tell you, I think because when I grew up, people would always say to me, oh, you think you're cute, you think you're cute, you think you're cute. And I would always be fights and arguments for it because, when you're a teenager and people are telling you that, what are you talking about? I'm just who I am. I don't know what you guys are talking. So I would always try to be more a tomboy, always try to be harder, always try to be the exact opposite of that to break the sexiness and sensual side of me. But I'm starting to learn to embrace it, and I'm learning to embrace it and to accept it. So I thought this was a very sexy, beautiful picture that was very sensual. And moonstone is a type of crystal. I love crystals. And moonstone is a type of crystal that is embracing you and your energy and who you are. And so I called it sensual moonstone. The iron butterfly is, of course.
Go back to that and give me an example from a movie.
Sensual moonstone. Well, because sensual moonstone is new to me, I have to find one for this one, because this one is a one that just came to me when I was doing this part of the module. But I've done 100 movies, so I'll probably have to just go look at those again.
What's the meaning of the moonstone?
It's a crystal that attracts, helps you go to your energy, your sensual energy, your love, and your I don't want to say sexiness because that's not what it says, but accepting your true energy and your inner peace and your sensual side of yourself.
Great. You can add that to the archetypes page. So next week, when you come back, I would like modules 1, 2, and 3 at the very least loaded and done.
Okay.
Because right now we're at a standstill because people haven't done enough work.
But my module 1s and 2 and 3s are all done in my notebook.
Great. Load them to the
and sent to you.
Those
They just need to be loaded.
yes, so that it's all in one place instead of 25 emails.
Yeah.
You guys sending the homework to me is just to keep you accountable. And then
You ain't reading that?
I just, yeah, I'm reading it. But what, I don't spend 30 hours reading it. Y'all ain't paying me for all that time.
You don't pour through each page, taking notes and putting it on your wall?
Now, if you was in private coaching like Justine, we would spend that time. And then you would hound me 2-3 hours a month, asking me shit and demanding my time. But you have paid for it. Or do the shit by yourself, but just do the shit. Thank you, Justine. Can you continue, please? I sent you a note. It's one of my thoughts about that. It might be.
Okay.
Okay.
The Iron Butterfly is, of course, my main one. So that is the picture that I found for her. And that's the woman that needs to release her hardness, or what she thinks is hard, and release her. I always say, sometimes as a female, I just want to take the gloves off. I want to take the gloves off in a relationship. I want to be the one that doesn't have to work, the one that doesn't have to find the restaurant, to pick the date, the one that doesn't have to be in charge of everything, the one that doesn't have to make sure everything is in order. Even even when I leave work, I don't want to have to walk down the street sometimes and worry about if this person bumps into me, or on the subway. If he hits me with this book bag one more time, I'm gonna turn around and sometimes I don't want to have that. I want to be in a state of calmness and a state of not having to worry, and I want a man to be able to help me with that and be that person that I can just be like, let me just fly when I'm with you. So the Iron Butterfly.
What needs to happen in order for that to happen?
I need to be able to.
Can you give us an example from the play Iron Butterfly, a scene if you like?
There's a scene where the main character's name is Maygene, and she is. I know the movie, of course, would be. I can't even think of it. The movie, of course, was Lady Sings the Blues, when Billy D. Williams went into the pad room cell and put the ring on her finger, even though she was doped up, having a crisis with her heroin, and was fiending for it, and she was shaking, and they put her in a straitjacket, and he still put the ring on her finger, telling her, I love you. And I just thought that was the most beautiful scene. A scene in my play with Maygene would be.
To Lady Sings the Blues. Why? A lot of Black women tell me they love that scene. Nobody can tell me why. And that's what
I love that scene because he loved her even when she was at her worst. He wanted her to know, I love you, and this is I'm going to take care of you. This ring solidifies what you mean to me, and that it doesn't matter to me that you're going through this. I'm going to get you through it. Let me be here for you. And for I think a lot of women, it just is very hard for people, for me, I'm going to speak for me to trust that.
Okay.
Trust that they're going to be there for me. And at one point, I'm not going to have to step up and be the one in charge.
Okay. So let's go back again. The emotional cords are about everything that's within your control. What
right.
I always hear about this scene is what he thought and what he did. That's actually not within your control. So
right.
when you get cared for that way, what does it require of you?
It requires of me to trust and to let go of
what does that mean?
any. Pardon me?
What does that mean? Get specific.
When I say to trust?
Yes, those are what I call Elanya Von Zant words. I feel like pop culture, Black pop culture, has its own set of language. It sounds really deep, but it says nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
so what do you want me to say then?
Trust, let go, What does that mean? What do you have to do? Get in real concrete terms.
Well, I have to let go of all the things that I have learned from the women in my family, which me and my cousin was just talking about this morning.
Right?
Because
you do that in 1 hour, right? So
no,
you do happen in the moment, right?
right.
So what is a one thing that you can do when I'm talking to people about transformation,
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability, and fixing your shit and getting to self-love?
Mm-hmm.
I have lots of things that frustrated me as an artist and as a human being. Well, you just need to let go and trust God. And you just needed that. I was like, right, everybody has all this great advice, but nobody has a concrete way for me to do that. Something that I can do right now. Think of the rules. You read them.
Well, for me, I mean, something that I can do right this moment. I mean, I think for me, being able to even talk about this right now with everybody and being able to identify that I know this is wrong is one of the first steps for me, is to be like, I know what I'm doing. I see, being able to see where the issue is a first step for me, to be able to see it and understand that it is what I have learned is not my truth.
Okay.
To see it and to identify it and know that, which is what I was explaining, is the first step for me.
And
To
then
know that this isn't how I see strength and what I thought strength and weakness was.
Mhm.
So so what I have been doing in my life is to stop myself and to take a moment to think to myself, is this person, like, if I meet someone now and they do something that pisses me off, now I don't be like, if this nigga don't get out my face, now I shut my mouth and I think about it. I'm thinking, you know what, this guy was just being, he was just trying to be nice and trying to have a conversation. So me, it's just about stopping and having a thought process before I open my mouth and say something.
Okay. What else can be changed? Write that down, because I actually want you to find a movie. I challenge you to find a movie in which a Black woman actually allows some of this to happen. It's very hard.
Right.
Part of the emotional core for me is that I actually hate all the shallow language that people have about emotion, about how you take up space, about vulnerability, about how to work through things that you've learned that are fucking up. Like, people are like, oh, you have the good girl problem. Oh, you have a crisis of identity. What the hell does that mean? How do I fix that? Give me something to do today to fix that in really concrete terms. It's the same way that when you and I are doing your private coaching sessions with writing, and I say, I need to see your protagonist take 3 physical steps outside of her comfort zone to convince me that she has made this transition. Right? Remember, we were going through that I need you to track. Where is the moment in this development of Mei Jing where she understands this? Where is this moment? Real concrete things. And your antagonist, Isaiah, actually forces that to happen only because he has an agenda. You have this action going on in the scene, right? And I think that writing and analyzing these scenes are 2 of the same lessons. That by learning how to analyze scenes, like what's going on here emotionally, it actually helps you as a writer and as an actor. Because you have to get super specific about what is really going on in the scene. What is at stake? What is pushing this person to make this change? What do they have to do by the end of the scene? That's not an idea. That's not a thought. That's not a concept. What do they have to do? They have to hand in a letter of resignation and admit failure. That's concrete. what is the step, right? Which is why going back and analyzing a scene beat by beat is really important. Well, I think the Lady Sings the Blues scene is a deeply emotional scene. It's a want, it's not a chord. And here's why. And I feel like this same trope, the strong Black woman, is handled in the same exact way in all of our storytelling. Which is why when you were writing Maygene, I was like, I actually, everybody was mad at me in class that day. I was like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? How is this working? I was like, well, because, and somebody said, I won't mention names, well, it doesn't happen like that because men don't just fall in love with Black women and solve the problem and be romantic. And I was like, and here we have the reason why the scene isn't working. Because that notion is what's standing in the way. That notion is going to stop Billy D. Williams from going into that padded room. That's not happening as long as that notion exists. So nobody's gonna love me that way. So actually, what needs to happen is a concrete change. It's more than letting go. It's how about I create some space for somebody to show up? It's like, there's an example in Getting the Love That You Want, where the mom is always complaining about being overwhelmed. And the counselor suggests, well, why don't you stop doing it? Because then it would fall apart. Would it? Maybe it needs to fall apart. So what do you, I teach this as an acting teacher, I teach this as a writing teacher. What must the character do? And when you're defining an action, it is something that can be completely finished by the end of this 2-minute scene. Otherwise, it's just an idea or a want or a desire. That's not an action. It's not an action. An action is to choose not to speak and to actually listen. To give in to the other person. To not do the dishes, balance the checkbook, do the grocery shopping, pick up the kids, do the laundry, get a cold. It's to go to the spa and then go check into a hotel for the weekend and let everybody work it out. I don't know one married woman who's done that. I do know women who are tired and always have pneumonia every 8 weeks because they do everything. Well, because it won't get done. It actually would get done, but nobody else has to do it because you're doing it. It's the same thing with getting the love that you want. You actually have to find a character who is learning how to make space for that to happen. That's why the rules, when you were writing that character, which it should be on you guys' reading list as well, was very important because the rules are 21 rules of shit you could do right now to get what you want. The problem is everybody's so busy arguing about the rules are stupid. The rules are no, they're not. The rules stop you from self-destructing. The rules are about the expectation of good. This is something I find most women don't have. The expectation that someone will actually catch me if I fall. The expectation that someone will show up, know what to do, and do it as well or better than I can. The expectation that I will actually get the care that I need. And the double entendre here is that unless you make space for that to happen, it won't. Right? Does anybody know the rules?
The book?
Is this the dating? I'm like trying to look it up.
I've never read it, but I know the book, yeah.
Okay, you need to read the book. And then you need
Is
to
this-
apply each of those. Sabrina, you need to fix your face because you the main one need to be doing all this. You can look at the rules for married women if you want. Actually, the rules for married women is actually quite good. It's
Wait.
not getting, if you're not getting what you need from your husband or your marriage, it's because you're doing too fucking much. So stop. It's a great book.
Which rules book is this? Is this 12 Rules for Life?
No, it's about dating. And I gave a client of mine an assignment after somebody suggested it to me. When I first learned how to produce, and I was producing Porgy and Bess and learning how to read contracts. At the same time, I was negotiating a contract to do Clybourne Park on Broadway as an actor. I learned how to finally ask for what I needed. And the lesson was, okay, so the rules are really great. I don't know if I agree with them for dating, but how about you apply them to your acting career? I was like, what? They're like, why are you emailing this producer over and over and over again? Rule number 1, stop talking. Rule number 2, don't chase anyone. Rule number 3, don't return anybody's calls. Force them to catch up with you. It's all about that leaning back shit. So next time I ask you something, when we're talking about these chords, and I say to you, tell me something you can do, your character can do right now for this transformation to happen. A simple thing, I'll use it from Justine. It's just like, oh, that I don't have to plan a date. How about you, here's an example. You're texting back and forth with someone who asks you out for a date, right? And they email me, well, they email you, they text you, where do you want to go? And your response is, well, I like this restaurant, and this restaurant. How about you don't respond? And allow them to figure it out. And if they don't,
now I would respond, but I would be like, get the fuck out of my face.
right.
With that.
And in that
I
case,
don't do anything.
never gonna get what you need. And the transformation is not about teaching them now how to be the asshole. The transformation is about setting up a set of circumstances in your life in which you learn to get what you need by expecting. Right? So it means that you don't entertain any circumstances in which what you need is not being supplied. That makes sense? No half-ass, no sorted there, no, it's why I don't believe when people are like, oh, I'm not in a relationship, just not have sex with them. I was like, is that what you want? Well, right now, I was like, is that what you want? Because if that's not what you want and that's what you do, that's all you're gonna get. Right? Find examples of these in the movie. Waiting to Exhale. The writer comes really close in the scene with Wesley Snipes and Angela Bassett. The only decent acting I've ever seen her do. And you know why? Because she's not talking. She's not doing anything. It's the first time I've ever seen her on screen not acting, but allowing. Go back and look at that scene. It is different. And what's very interesting to me is that in all the years that I've been teaching this, not one single woman has been able to give me an example of a scene in which a woman gets the care that she feels she needs and deserves. We have no idea how to even do it. This scene is a really good example. She does nothing. She arrives with nothing. She then burnt down her part of her house. Her husband said she's destroyed, she's divorced, she's alone, nothing works. She has finally decided to stop doing everything. Her marriage fell apart because she did everything. And she just sits there and is just being and expecting nothing except the peace of sitting there, having a drink, listening to beautiful music. And she allows this man to come over and have a conversation with her about deep things. The relationship, there's nothing transactional about it. It's not, oh, if I let him talk to me, he's gonna buy me some drinks and then maybe I'll get a hookup and have an orgasm tonight. It's actually both of them are at, there's nothing else I can do. He doesn't even roll up with, I'm trying to get in your bed. It's like, I'm done. I'm too tired to actually try to make anything else happen except to sit here and be with you, listening to this music, sitting in these beautiful chairs, having this fabulous drink. It's two people doing nothing except actually being with each other with no expectation of anything other than this moment being really nice and peaceful. And in the end, they actually end up having deep, profound intimacy. because they don't walk into that scene expecting, let me get a hookup, or he's just going to be a jerk, or she's just going to be a hard Black woman. All they're doing is open to the possibility of this evening being lovely and sharing it with another person. There's no trying to make anything happen. They're both incredibly vulnerable. You see it on camera very often. And they both have no expectations. If you turn on the TV in pop culture in America, you have no idea that anything like that even happens. Everybody's talking about, well, women do this and women do that and Black men do this and the Black woman does, oh my God. None of that is happening in that scene. It's the only time I've actually ever seen something like that on camera. Like the grown-up stuff that actually happens between two people who have really become vulnerable by life. Truly, not incapacitated. It's the hard stuff. And none of my clients have ever brought in a scene like that. What they do bring in is the man saving the woman. When they're missing, the point is the woman can't be saved unless she allows herself to be saved. The lady sings the blues. ODing is not really allowing yourself to be careful. Well, it's a version of allowing yourself to be careful. It's not the healthiest. Right? Allow. I want you to find a scene of a woman allowing. Or it could be a man allowing. Something completely counterintuitive. I challenge you. Go. The iron is the hardness, but the butterfly is the transformation. The transformation can't happen unless the iron woman decides to allow something. Does that make sense? Do you hate me now? Go find the movie. Next. What's the next one?
Amative warrior.
What does that mean?
That's kind of like me fighting my affection, knowing that I have it in me and trying to avoid it of me. It's like the warrior is fighting that, but there's another part of me that's ready to let that loose and let that be open.
Do you have an example from something you've written or a movie?
I'm going by me, my inner self.
Okay.
And
off the top of your head, could you think of a film? Or can you just tell me a scene from your play? You've actually written all of this.
Yeah, I have this because I know it is.
So I'd like you to articulate it in terms of a dramatic scene, so that when you're talking to your branding person or your agent or your manager, you can talk to them a language they understand. Give them an example.
So an example, I guess, in Iron Butterfly would be Mae Jean's would be Mae Jean's fairy tale story that she tells Isaiah.
Why?
And Isaiah tells her, there had to be some point in your life where you thought about the perfect guy. And she's like, yeah. And she gets up, she does this fairy tale meaning of having being this mermaid underwater, and there's another mermaid that is a guy mermaid, and he swims by and he sees her, and he picks up a flower and gives it to her, and they dance and they live happily ever after, forever, forever, ever. She gets caught up in this fairy tale of telling him about this perfect love story. And then she realizes there's this side of her that is that actual mermaid, where she is open to having this man come into her life, and they have a moment of sincerity. And she realizes at that moment that she kind of likes Isaiah, and she doesn't act on it. And she's fighting her mother, who's in her head telling her, this nigga ain't this. You need to stop doing that. He's not this. He's not that. And it's her battle with her mother that goes on throughout all of this. trying to tell her how she should be and how everything is supposed to be. And Isaiah is battling that, showing her the exact opposite of what she has always learned. So her battle is throughout all of this.
Let me ask you something.
And of course, I'll practice saying this better.
Can't hear you, April.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can't hear me? Am I muted? What is happening?
No,
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you either.
Why
No, I can't. I can't.
you-
There you are.
Oh.
What is happening? Why you can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So when I asked you, Justine, to give me an example, you like, I couldn't think of anything. The reason that you have all these chords is because you wrote it. Because this was the process of writing.
Oh, I just gave an example.
Right. But when I said to you, what is something she could do right now in this moment? You couldn't
Mhm.
think of anything. The fairy tale. Could the May Jean that we see in scene 1 have written a love fairy tale?
No.
No. She has to take the steps, right? That was
Right.
what we did in the writing process. I was like, when is the first time that she lets into vulnerability? What happens? When's the second time? It needs to be actually really precise. If you were doing a movie, I love Surette Scott. She's an amazing theater director and my mentor. She would always be like, okay, so learning your lines and the blocking and how to make each scene work. Now that we've done the run through, she's like, that's great. Now it's time to do the real work. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, we're doing run throughs. I've done the work. I'm nailing the scenes. I'm going after my objective. I'm hitting all the beats. She's like, that's for beginning artists. Now it's time to become a master. I would actually like you to track the developmental archetype of this character. When is the moment in which she understands this lesson, not intellectually, but in her soul? And how does that transform into something, her making another move in her life that's a new direction? That's the next step. After you learn all the blocking, you learn all the scenes and the lines and how to make the scenes. Now, there is a journey that you, the character, need to lead us on through the course of the story. That's what so much of the emotional cord work is about. I will never forget that Surette was like, that's what it is to become a master. It's one thing to understand how to do your scene. It's one thing to understand how to do this whole episode. It's another thing to track a character through a 6-hour miniseries. You actually have to know their chords, where they're going, that's what makes the acting complicated, layered, and really, that's what Idris is doing in The Wire that nobody else in there is doing. It's so subtle. The transformations that are totally internal that he's making. 6 episodes, the sideburns look one way and the collar's buttoned up, right? And all of a sudden the collar gets looser and looser and looser. That was the actor that did that, who changed the frames, who changed his body from this at the beginning to becoming this, and that long, lean yoga alignment that he has when he's sitting in the community college class. Like, we emotionally understand the transformation he's going through because he, as the actor, emotionally understands, I'm learning a life lesson here. I'm living an entire life in this season. It's really fascinating to watch. It's why you can't stop watching him, but you can stop watching everybody else. They're entertaining, whatever. There's nothing complicated going on there. There's nothing profound going on there. They're just playing the scene. They're not taking a life journey, and they're not transforming. His character really is the only character that truly transforms in that show. He is not the same person by the end that he was at the beginning. And he's also actually not trying to be the same person. He is actually internally trying to transform into a CEO. And that I am actually worthy of being a CEO. That is legitimately what I am, of a major Fortune 500 company. Go back and watch his scenes. And fast forward to everybody else in that show. He's actually doing something really complicated in that show. It's all internal. And it's interesting because he is nothing like that as a person. It's actually not who he is as a person. Very interesting. He's actually kind of emotional and free-spirited, and I want to explore this and I want to explore that. He's actually not really that methodical as a human being, but he wanted to make this character that way. Go back and watch it. There's a scene, I think it's a season 3, in which Dante is still in jail and the family is taken care of. So you guys watch The Wire? Do you know this storyline? Mm-hmm. And Dante, I don't think Dante's dead yet, but Idris is sleeping with Dante's baby mama. And we actually never see them having sex. We just come up in one scene where he's standing up. He's on the right-hand side. She's on the left. I think she has on some pink shorts. And he has on like a sweater and some slacks. He's just come from school and his glasses. And he seduces her without ever touching her. The cycle is complete. By the end of that scene, you understand that Dante is going to be dead. And that Idris's character, not only is he going to get the girl, she's just a step in the ladder. He is going to be the last mafioso. He is going to legitimize the drug industry. It's a seduction. This is seduction of her, how smoothly and seamless it is. The baby's already treating him like Papa. It's so seamless. He's doing nothing in the scene. And the actress, I think she forgot her lines. He's so in it. It's a fascinating scene. Watch it. They're in her apartment. She has on some shorts. I'll never forget it. He does nothing. She submits completely in that scene. And everybody around her in the family is starting to submit. The little light-skinned drug dealer is becoming his second in command, the little young guy. Wee-Bey is locked up somewhere because when you're becoming a CEO of a company, you can't keep your murderers around. You need somebody a lot more subtle. Like, it's a scene about transformation. It is the compassionate gangster. Watch him. He's the only one that's not banging and slanging. Of course, he has to get destroyed. But it's very complicated. So, I want you to bring this back with the movies now. You can use examples from the new thing that you're writing. You can use examples from, because so much of this work you've already done within the context of writing. You can use scenes. You need to rewrite the scenes as film scenes, which is something we can do in private coaching. Because you already have some of that with Isaiah already. And then I want you to find some scenes in television and film and not with Black women. Look at Chocolat with Juliette Binoche.
I did. It's already one of my movies.
Okay. And here's an idea for somebody. I like a lot what Alana did because I am a visual person of words, but not everybody is. You could use a clip from a movie. You could take the actual clip. Most scenes are somewhere. They're on YouTube, they're whatever. Just type in the name of the scene. What's the Jane Austen movie with Hugh Grant and Emma Thompson?
Sense and Sensibility.
The scene in which they are in the barn and he's trying to propose and she's like, yeah. He's like, I'm just trying to, he's like, I'm just trying to, she's like, what? Like, it's a great scene. It's a great scene. It's on YouTube. There's a reason that scene, somebody did a cut of it and put it on YouTube because it is resonating a serious field of women who don't expect to be loved the way they deserve to be loved. It's a great scene. You could conceivably use, instead of a meme or a spreadsheet, clips from movies. And down at the bottom, if you wanted to write out a description of what's happening or an analysis, which I really, really, really like. What was that? The old television show that had the two space creatures? They would be watching a movie and the space creatures, Space Odyssey 3000. Yes. And the space creatures would be giving their own analysis of what was actually really happening in the scene.
Oh, that's Mystery Science Theater.
Mystery Science Theater.
Yes.
You could do a clip of a scene and then do a voiceover yourself going, see, there's the moment in which she's like trying to block the love that she wants. Here's the moment in which she is forcing her to face it, right? Because that's what you would be doing with an agent. You would be okay, I want to give you an example of this chord. why I could have played this. And do a clip and then talk them through it. That would be a great way to explain this chord. Angela and I talked about a concept photo shoot in which I was like, you are the femme fatale from the 1940s. Shoot that. Use pictures to talk about these chords. And you get to stage the chords, and in the concept shoot, you're telling a story. How about that? You can find lots of creative ways. You know, and because what we're doing is about acting and storytelling, if you find storytelling modalities to use in order to communicate the ideas, half of your branding is already done. I had answered the concept shoot. I was like, because some of the photos that people are shooting for you now that you're doing all this PR stuff suck. You should come in with your own photos. You know, unless they've hired Annie Leibovitz or whatever. That's something else. But choose your core photographers and you will have a stable of work that people can use. On my place that I do, the press shoots I've done myself. And then the theaters use those. I was like, no, we ain't doing some pictures y'all trying to take and rehearse. No. I was like, that's not happening. No. And they're like, we're really not. I was like, no, we're not using your royalty-free images. We're using my concept photo shoot. Because I sat down with a photographer, a creative director, and was like, this is a story I want to tell with these pictures. You can do that. There are lots of ways for you to start communicating these chords that will help the broader scope of your career. Right? Like, you're not playing what you want to play. Maybe you don't want to take writing classes. Maybe you want to option a script. Well, you sure as hell better know how to talk about these chords if you want somebody to write it off the winning script.
Yeah.
You have to be able to really work with a writer, commission them, get rough drafts, talk them through the complications of the character, talk them through their life lessons, what they're struggling with, giving them examples, exactly the way we're doing this work. When I produce a film, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm talking to, you know, I get a proposal from a filmmaker. I was like, great, we saw your little NYU film thesis, whatever. What do you want to tell? Okay, that's great. The rough cut you gave me, it's not telling that story, so walk me through it. And they give me draft one. And I was like, we're not there yet. Not what you told me. Let's get through it. And you spend a year and a half doing that. That's the process. But that's how you get films that go to Sundance. You need to walk me through this character's emotional chords and their journey and the lesson they're actually learning. And I actually need to emotionally understand that to feel completion at the end of the story and feel like I spent 90 minutes here that were great. That's how films get into Sundance. So this sort of process applies to every part of your career once you decide to stop being a prop and become a real storyteller. Right? Next victim. Very good work, Justine. We're kind of working backwards because you've already written scripts and you've already actually done the work. You're already like 9 times softer than I am. It's really impressive. As per our last textual exchange, you have made the journey that I have not. Thank you. You are wise beyond your years. Rachel, I got something for you. Talk to me at the end of class.
Okay.
Next victim.
Who still has it? I heard Justine.
You and me, Rachel.
You and me. Do you want to go, Sabrina, or I
Who
can
still
go?
hasn't gone?
I can try and share my screen. Oh, wait. There, maybe. There we go.
Oh, look at Rachel building a website.
Yeah.
You know, I think I did something really, really smart. You know what I did?
What?
I sent y'all my coaching rates, and then I sent a come to Jesus email about doing your fucking work, and then y'all looked at my coaching rates and were like, I could do my work. I could come up with some money. I'm gonna do my work.
Yeah.
I didn't even consciously do that, but I could see the moment everybody went to. And then all of a sudden I got homework. It's amazing. I don't know how to build a website. I just didn't even know what this journey is. Oh, I'll build this page for you right now. Okay. I can build it for you. It costs you $15,000. You want to go? Let's go.
Okay, I don't know how you got those. I'm very inspired by your website, Alana. I don't know how you got that stuff at the top. And let's see if I can scroll through. Mine are here, and this made me realize, yeah, I kind of have, the way I think more is in my notebook where I've been punching holes in everything and putting it in.
That's fine.
I just have to organize it better, but I can't even see. So I was like, I don't think I'm that complete for everything, but I don't know what I put up for module 1. Oh, see, it's like hand notes. Let's see if it shows up.
Let me say to you off the top of your head, the reason that you don't have a navigational, horizontal navigation at the top of your screen is because you chose, that's fine. You chose a different template. That's fine.
That's why. Okay, so maybe I don't know if I can.
Vertical one, which is fine. If you can change the template at any time, it'll give you a preview and you can move.
It'll give me. So then I had to kind of take photos of my notes and put them up, which I don't think is you know what I mean? Better if they were typed up. What do you want? My dream board maybe? Or I did put up a couple of, I have my scenes. I have found a lot of scenes I like.
First of all, let me look at the format in which you put them up. I am very open. Unless you guys want me to come up with a form for you, I actually think it's more important for you to visually come up for a way to communicate this instead of me just.
Right. I did. I'm still refining my chords.
Okay, I like this. Okay.
But I think
I'm sorry. I just love the single-minded gangster elf.
okay.
Okay. What is the PTA mother hopped up on? What does hopped up on mean? Translate, please.
I just can't find a way to express the mother who is just can't, the struggle is to have anything while trying to the house and the everything, life gets in the way. So it's she's barely holding on by a thread, by her fingernails, one little crack, everything could go kapooey. It's she's barely holding on. It's if she misses this carpool, the world might end, kind of a situation. But I'm having a hard time getting the language.
I'm going to send you an image. There's a woman on Instagram that I follow who I think that you would truly identify with. She takes a picture of the perfect woman. This is the woman who work in the morning with her cup of coffee and she's walking across the street in New York City. And then she does a photo shoot with her version of that woman. And her version of that woman has on a bad H&M suit that is twisted to the side because she had to take her baby carrier off to drop the baby off. So her jacket's twisted. The cup is dented because her child kept tapping the cup. So she's trying to get the lid back on the Starbucks cup because she has a paper cup. Whereas the perfect woman had the steel cup from Starbucks. And she's like, Mom, I don't have money for none of that. And she's crossing the street and her bag falls open in the middle of the street and no one helps. And then her heel breaks. And she has the flip. What is it? The flip that everybody's wearing that,
Yeah, I don't know what they call the.
Her flip is blown up on this side. I'm telling you, she's a genius. She's an actress in LA. Because she's really communicating to you. Nobody really looks like this when they're pregnant. Nobody looks like this when you're dropping your child off in the morning, even if they have a nanny. This is what it really looks like. And this is the Photoshop version. Because her meme today was like this. It was a woman who had on a perfect outfit crossing the street in boots. And she does the same shoot, but in hers, you see her girdle. The bottom, she's like, I am pulling it together and moving up.
Hey, Andy.
I mean,
Yeah.
what you're talking about. And I think that if you find the image will do the work.
Okay.
And every single one of them is like this. He has a workout video. What's Alec Baldwin's wife? She has all
Oh, she's like that yoga guru, perfect, feeds her children, all organic lady.
So she's talking about how even when she was, so I'm watching a video of her with the big ball, and she's going back and forth and lifting her baby up like this, because she's like, even if you don't have time to get to the gym, you can play with your kids and exercise. And she weighs like 80 pounds, and she has fake tits out to here. Her face is completely Botox. Her hair is always blown dead straight in her Upper East Side apartment on Fifth Avenue, and she's lifting her baby. And I'm like, just shut up. Like, you don't look like that from lifting your baby every day. I mean, and like all of her videos are absolutely ridiculous. And she has thousands of followers on Instagram, millions on YouTube, as if any of that is real. And it's so, she hasn't eaten since Jesus was a baby. Okay? Her face does not move. It's full of fillers. She's 40 and she weighs 70 pounds. Looks like this. She's pregnant and she totally looks malnourished. This is really healthy. She has a baby out to here and she's like this. And I'm like, what is this? This is insane. And she has 9 nannies that we never see in any of the videos. And the house is clean. And she has toddlers. And Alec is on set all the time. And all the pictures of him, Alec walking in, we're like, you're on set. You're actually not there. You get home at 11. I'm going to find her.
Okay.
Being hopped up is not specific enough.
Okay.
What do you mean by drunk prophet? I have an idea. It makes me feel something. I want you to get more specific.
Okay. You want me to say that right now, what I'm trying to communicate?
What do you mean by drunk prophet?
Like a little bit loopy, like a little not quite fully processing, what's happening, what people are saying to her, like what's in the here and now, like a little bit in another otherworldliness situation, but it could come off as like a little drunk or a little high, but could just be high on Jesus, but it just like a little bit,
Okay,
like
see that.
that's what I thought, like drunk has that sensual feel to it of like,
The drunk Jesus lady. Yeah.
yeah, but it doesn't have to be like the thought of like that alcoholic drunk thing, it's like just that kind of a bit of an altered state.
I like drunk prophet. I think you need to write a little bit more about, because that's the archetype.
Okay. Oh, okay.
We need that fleshed out a little bit more. But drunk prophet, single-minded gangster elf. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Okay.
Her name is Official Shanny Pants.
Official Shanny Pants.
I'm telling you,
Okay.
her branding is on the money. She needs a TV show.
Official Shanny Pants.
I
Okay.
think that you could articulate a lot of your chords visually. Like what she's doing is basically a concept shoot. She should be on like SNL or Mad TV. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. What was that? I don't know if I put that one in the right one.
You are with your 4 major emotional chords. Now, go back.
Back.
Putting them in different places. Module 1 should be your takeaways from your moon sign, sun sign.
Yes, and it needs to be typed up. I like took pictures of that because I had printed it out and done it in my journal, and like it just looks like hand Scrabble muck. So,
well, the other thing that you could do is
like same thing with this. I'm like, oh, I should type this all up, right? This was like,
you can type it up, or you can go to Cafe Astrology and you can take screenshots on your phone of a description. What'll look good is that you do all of the screenshots from the same exact website, so the format is all the same.
Right.
Okay. So all of my slideshows are screenshots on my phone. I just crop them and then load it right into the Weebly app on my phone. I find it the quickest and easiest way to get it done.
Okay.
Or I download it right from Facebook. If you just press the photo, it'll download to your phone and you can load it right
there.
So you can do from Astro Dienst, like I've taken screenshots of little descriptions and then loaded it. So what will make it look uniform like a meme is that if you do the screenshot from the same exact website. So pick the website you want to use.
And then
did you get sun signs on Kindle? Because I have it on Kindle. You can do a screenshot on your computer.
No, I did it actually as a paperback that I could like write in. I'm very tactile. Like I like to write.
Yeah, me too. I like to write.
Well, I think that this happens by you writing first and then transferring. So
right.
The writing is the research, right? It's when you're getting all the ideas inside you, the placing them into a platform that allows other people into your thought processes, allows you to organize your research. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
Like I always make it a requirement of my characters to my clients to build their first major website.
Yeah.
Not with somebody else. You build a rough cut and then you can give it to a designer. The reason being is that what it takes for you to put together a website that represents the entirety of your career is a lot of work. Like the first one I did, I had a web designer, but I still had to come up with the content. I still had to say, okay, this is a template I want. Okay, these are the 10 quotes that I want. I want the language to look like this, and I want it to be visual. And the act of putting that all together and him sending me rough drafts, I was like, wow, I've actually really done a lot. Like, oh, okay. Oh, wow, I usually play characters like this. The brand started to make itself known by me putting it into a format that was visual for the world, which meant that I now had to make my ideas a lot more clean because it wasn't for my consumption alone. It was for the world.
Which I think is like my ideas are messy right now, but like it really helps to see like what you all other ladies have done. I'm like, oh, okay. I can clean up my ideas, I think, and clean up what I have done. I do feel like, and then I don't know that I've definitely put my scenes, I like uploaded the scenes, but I'm like, the scripts, I don't know that, you know what I mean? I should maybe, I think I would, is it coming? The website is so slow, waiting.
Ways that you can load up scenes.
Yeah, I gotta, like, cause I just did them as the Word docs. Are they coming? Come, it's not coming yet. But now I feel like, oh, I could just find a picture that represents the scene from the actual, or like make a character meme from some of the scenes that I have found that I like, that I feel like it's not coming. Like that's slow.
But actually, I do want you guys to have one document with all of the scenes under consideration transcribed. Because down the road, we're going to make a short film of you doing some of those scenes to demonstrate support. So it's important to have them.
Okay, so I uploaded my transcribed scenes here.
Great. That should be on a page. You're eventually going to get to that. And make them all in one place. And you use Scribbled, right? So Scribble, you can just load up Word docs. You can also...
Yeah, I just use Scribble.
if you have scenes that have been emailed to you from auditions that you've done, if you guys need scenes, I have a page called thedreamunlock.com/sides. There's hundreds of sides on there.
Okay.
You can just load up a side. Just download it from your email, load it up to the site.
Okay.
Great.
That was just scenes. And then on the next one, I actually had taped some scenes, but like, I just feel like I did them kind of like cold readings, you know? Let me go to my dream board.
Yeah.
If I can scroll, because I feel like, you know, I mean, what's happening here? How do I get that off?
Press escape,
Escape.
upper left-hand corner of your keyboard.
Okay, thank you.
That's why I make the big bucks.
Oh, it is just not scrolling well. Okay, here we go. Come on, come on. Gosh, why is it not scrolling? Here we go. Come on, come on. It's getting closer. Where's my dream board? Oh, maybe that's in journal.
Rachel, you're the funniest person I know.
Maybe I should have plugged my mouse in because I'm doing the laptop today, and it's just, come on, fingers. Okay, I think I put dream board under journal. Where did I put that? My dream board.
I don't know.
Oh, like, why is this not working? Guys, do you have a mouse I can plug in? Phoebe. Phoebe.
Stop sharing your screen for a minute and see if that helps.
Okay, how do I get out of that?
Scroll down to the bottom and say press stop share.
I go to my Zoom, right? Okay. I feel like my whole
General, love for her, empathy, understand a kinship with that vulnerability. Like there's, I see the mirror of that person in me.
And how do you feel about that person in you?
Like she needs to get the fuck out. That's what this one is. Like she needs to express herself, become a person that's adorned, that's expressed, that's honored, that's embraced.
So if you were playing that scene, how would you play it?
You mean as opposed to how Whoopi did it?
How would you, Sabrina, play that scene?
So Suge comes to her, she's saying, "You're beautiful." She gives her the mirror. She gives me the mirror. And it would be the process of discovery, see myself in the mirror, and not see what she sees. Suge forces you to have to face yourself. For me, face me.
Mm-hmm.
And then to overcome the obstacle of self-effacing. Overcome the obstacle of erasing your identity, so that you can fit in the world, so you can fit in a society where you can function, move forward.
Do you know an actress you could play this scene with? That you could put yourself on tape?
I could find somebody. I can't think of anybody.
I want you to cast somebody who would actually really be right for that role. A sensual, free-spirited creature, unapologetic about her femininity, nurturing, just sex on heels,
Mm-hmm.
sensuality in her skin, but
Yeah.
fragile because she doesn't feel loved. I want you to find somebody who elicits that. And I want you to put yourself on tape Because here's some of the stuff that's going on when we talk about this, is that you've actually never gotten to play this side of yourself. So that's
No.
a challenge. And so I think you actually need the physical experience of playing some of these roles so that you can start talking about how they make you feel from an experiential place and not just an analytical place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So I want you to put yourself on tape. Costume yourself, put the whole outfit on. What is the homely version of you that you just walk around with so nobody pays attention to the feminine stuff? How do you guard against that? We all have things that we do. I put on my glasses and dark clothing and baggy muumuus when I don't want to deal with that side of myself. And that's what she's doing in the movie. She's hiding. Because every time her sensuality came out, her stepfather raped her. So she's hiding it all, right? I'm not going to comb my hair. I'm not going to wear no makeup. I'm not going to put on a fitted dress. I'm not going to do none of that. And what we see happening in that scene with Shug is her taking all the rags away, taking the ratty hair, taking the house dress, taking the grim smile, uncovering all of that. It's literally like she's peeling off these layers. I want you to experience that and put it on tape and let us see it for next week. And then I want
okay.
Look, she's like, oh.
By next week.
By next week. You need to move through this process. We're going to be at week 10 and y'all will not have done this work. However we need to get there, we need to get there. What's the next slide?
These are falling in the same vein.
Yep.
But also with the indigenous aspect to my history that is also erased.
So I need you to articulate that more clearly.
So in finding who this person is and peeling off the layers, it's not just I find my sensuality, but it's also finding my culture, my history, where I come from, because I've always felt this sort of tug of war between my immigrant first generation status, and I don't fit in either country that I live in, where my family comes from, and I don't fit here. So that duality makes me feel homeless in my soul, right? And this picture is also trying to find that beauty, but also trying to find the connection to a culture that you find makes you anchored, which I think is beautiful, which gives people a center from which you can come from with your confidence.
Have you seen any films in which you identified with this cultural identity?
No, there's a few books that were recommended that are supposedly go through that kind of story, the journey, but I haven't gotten them yet. They're Latina writers. But no, I mean, I'm not saying that they don't exist, but I haven't seen them. This is in the same vein. And it's also part of identity as a woman in this business. So I'm here struggling with how to fit. The businesses need to have something wavy and not a person of color with curves into what a woman actually looks like. What you were saying about this woman's blog, or the Instagram posts.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you something. Has anyone ever said anything to you physically about how you look in the business to adjust?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What have they said?
You should lose 10, 15 pounds. You should get your teeth fixed. You're never going to really be a lead. Oh, my God. Down the list of shit.
this to you?
you're a little too rice and beans for that role, or you rely too much on your ethnicity, your Latina part. So you got to work on that. I mean, yeah, like
You told me about
there's
Nikki
a
on that one, but the other ones.
what's that?
You told me about Nikki on that one, but who are the other people that have said these things?
Managers, agents.
People that you're currently working with.
No. This is early in the business.
Okay.
Formative relationships for me as a budding actor. But yeah, I mean, they say a lot of things. People shower you with wisdom and advice a lot. Especially when you're, until somebody like J-Lo comes along, you're like, your ass is too, or like in a karate class, you got a lot of ass, you should use that. That's a lot of,
Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute, because that's what the Dreaming Out Loud class was about, was unpacking this stuff, because there's something very interesting happening. All those things that were said to you by people who did not get you to where you are now. And now you're a successful actor, but you're still holding on to what losers who didn't get you work said to you.
Sure.
See how that works? So we got to unpack it, because where are all those people? As you are scrolling across television, they aren't there. So their advice actually was not useful. I don't know what any of that is like, because no one in the business has ever said anything like that to me. The one person that did, and this is actually very important to unpacking bullshit like that, is my acting teachers said, you'll never work, you need to lose weight, and women who don't have hair don't work. Because I had a shaved head at the time. It was very important for me to go back to class functions with my bald head and my resume and say, Bill, did you get my newsletter last month about the part that the first thing he asked me to do is cut off my hair. And I'm actually working while everybody else in my class is working for you as a teacher. So you were wrong. That was actually very important to not holding on to that shit. So that's the process.
I hear that, and I
want you to.
I totally agree with you. The thing I discovered I booked a pilot 2-3 years ago, and it was playing a Cuban in a Cuban family, and I wore tight-fitting clothing, and like I was fucking Cuban. Cubans have curves, and it was a show that was Latino on ABC. And it was the first time on set that I walked on and I didn't feel like I was trying to figure out what the producers wanted me, the Latina that's got a degree, the Latina that's this, that's that, what kind of Latina you want. I was able to present me. And I, in that show, realized I had been doing a lot of work that was subconscious. So part of the reason I joined this class was because in writing those first 3 exercises that we did, I further opened that box where I was like, oh, I'm operating from a subconscious from subconscious behavior that I didn't even know was my puppet master. So this journey has been very much about continuing to peel that onion. And I know that
go back and do the modules and load them.
Yeah, no, I got to put them on because I have them all in my book. I have a gorgeous book, and I think what Alana and the girls have shown is much easier, because it's hard to go back through the pages and kind of find that this will be much easier to have the pages loaded.
You can take it from the pages. You guys should continue to write, because that's where your stream of consciousness is, where you unpack. But putting it on the website is where you look at it and analyze it. So the morning pages, which is what the first 3 modules about, is is regurgitating it. You got to look at all the shit you have
Yeah.
before you can take it apart and analyze it and put it into pockets. Because there is something to be learned from holding on to those limiting beliefs, right? That mini course is the course that I require of everybody to take before they start working with me, because we're going to look at some of that funky shit. But you have to unpack it, because a lot of that is very useful for your career moving forward. There's a great example, and we're going to have to wrap up shortly, is Danai Gurira.
I know her.
I'm going to tell you something. I know Danai really well. I'm going to tell you something about Danai. Danai has a career because what other people think is irrelevant to her. She has a complete image of who she is and the movie star she always wanted to be. At no point in time has she walked in worried about giving people what she thinks they want. And that makes her incredibly attractive. There has never been anybody that looks like Danai, working like Danai's work. Ever. They could not stop casting her in off-Broadway New York theater. Nobody ever looked like, I mean, there have been actors that look like her. They ain't working. Or they're playing slaves. She completely has an understanding of who she is that is based on her being the subject and what other people think being irrelevant. Completely. And it makes white people in the industry want to worship her, because she doesn't need them. And people feel it. And they're like, I want to please her because she doesn't need me. She's superior without, whatever I think doesn't matter. She's black, she has no hair, her nose is too wide. She doesn't, you don't matter. She's the center of her universe. A lot of African Americans have a really hard time working with her. A lot of people in the industry don't like her. And she's really harsh. She was like, she actually, all the bullshit that everybody walks around, I'm a black queen. She doesn't say that. She actually knows it. It's very interesting to sit in a room with her and Lupita and Lisa Tommy and listen to the way they speak about themselves. It's why Africans are doing so well in the industry right now. They don't exist in opposition to white people. Their entire sense of identity is not about what white people think. Whereas with African Americans, it is. And that unpacking is super important. To even acknowledge that that is the sense of identity that you're creating. Your life as a person in America is about, well, let me unwrap what white people think. Our entire reality of how we live is about what white people think. Well, if we go in here and do this, oh, I gotta make the white people do this. And I gotta make all of us. You actually have to be in the presence of people who aren't like that to understand how much we do it. And when I sit with those three women in rooms with people, and I watch Black actors, Black American actors really resent them. And it's really, because Danai is like, you come in and you audition for Danai, she's like, I expect you to be badass. Well, what everybody usually wants from me, she's like, that's not my concern. If you don't think you're worth it, why should I? Thank you for coming in. She's brutal. She's like, I can't deal with you worrying about what white people think or whatever. Listen to her interviews, like her magazine interviews, and they're asking stupid questions. And she'll be like, but actually that really doesn't make sense. What's really going on here? Her sense of self is so internal. She is the subject of her story. Everybody else is a recurring showing up to help tell her story. Very powerful way of living and working. I mean, she takes nothing personally. And what other people think does not shape her agenda of getting things done. And what I find really fascinating is how other Black people relate to that. They resent her a great deal. It's fascinating. You might want to read Things Fall Apart
Yeah, I got that.
and Death and the King's Horseman. Because, and Denai and I talked about this, we both love Wole Soyinka a lot. He has a series of articles in a book in which he talks about in African literature, we are the subject of our stories. And in Western literature, we are the objects helping to tell the white man's story. And the problem has become that we think of ourselves as objects. You can Google some of it. I have an interview in which I talk about Mother of George when we were producing it, and Denai was in it, in which we talk about that idea of the subject. But you should read his articles about the subject and object and how it plays out in storytelling, how it plays out in us getting what we need in politics and life and the industry. Whose story is it? It's so much of what you're talking about. So much of what all of us are talking about is who we are in the world as opposed to what the world has imposed on us. Is that you actually have to recognize how much of that is imposed so that you can reframe it so that you then become the subject of your story. And there's lots of ways to get at that. I mean, I stopped hanging out with African Americans. Ooh, is that a terrible thing? And then I moved to Africa. I mean, before that, I just was like, I had to write my own stuff because I did not understand this version of characters that people were presenting to me. I don't even know who this is. This isn't a real person. But you have to unpack how much of that has shaped you and rewrite your identity. When you go back and you put the modules, I would like you to put the first 3 Dreaming Out Loud courses. I would like you to put the answers to that first, and then go on to loading the modules.
You're talking about the lists and
Yes.
yeah.
I think that's particularly important. And after you do that, I want the list of 100 movies. You don't have to watch them all or 100 stories. But right now, that's actually standing in your way of getting more specific because you don't have enough examples.
I didn't understand that well. So I thought I could do movies, do life experience, do patakis, do, but I see, I understand better now what you mean.
Patakis. I love her.
Yeah.
Worldview. She's from the island that my great-grandmother's from. All of the women are like that. At no point did she ever have a perm. She never got her teeth fixed. She never lost weight. She's from Cat Island, Bahamas. She grew up with my great-grandmother. All the women are like that. They all have afros. They were like, a perm? Why should I do it? The worldview of what other people think, irrelevant. At a time where people were permed within an inch of their life.
Right.
But the women from where she's from look like this. It's kind of fascinating. And she ate at the restaurant down the street from the house where I grew up when she was doing Good Times. She's like, I have to have Bahamian food. Like, she didn't live this idea of what other people thought. And it didn't occur to her to do that. It's why she had a career.
Yeah.
Start paying attention to some of them.
I did these, but I won't go through those.
I think that these are great. I think that this is the beginning. Understanding that this is what's at work will help you start to choose material. Stop right now and give me this baby so I can eat this baby right now. I need to eat this baby.
Isn't that adorable?
I need to eat this baby right now. Just walked past a child that looked like this in the streets of Morocco today, who took some candy out of her afro and handed it to me. Because that is what friends do, okay? I said, hello. Oh, I said, Saha. And she said, baby Darija is really cute. Là-bas, ça va bien. Ça va. I was like, good. You're good. She's like, I'm good. And then she took the candy out of her hair. And then she took the one and she's like, that's very good. Thank you. Okay. Just like that.
Yeah.
You need a baby to hand you some candy out of Afro.
And you say yes, and you eat the shit.
Because she was like, and now I'm going shopping with my mother. Okay, goodbye.
Yeah, I feel like I need with
Yes.
they all speak to the same.
Yes.
There's two themes here, and they're all kind of dovetailing each other.
This is what, remember when I said to you guys that initially you're going to choose the same chord over and over and over again?
Yeah.
Yes. That's what happens. This I understand in a place that is profound. Yo soy una cubana. I'm going to be in my coffin with my red lips and my tacones in place. This was the goal as a 10-year-old Afro-Latina. I'm going to get some of these when I'm 15. I understand.
What appeals to me about this is how it makes her skin stand out in such beautiful contrast.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something I don't feel I can do. Not because I can't, but because, it's gone away for a while. So I got to get back to that.
You need to spend some time in Miami and go shopping.
No, not Miami. Miami ain't right.
Yes, but you need to go shopping in Burdines because you need tacones.
Burdines.
Burdines, okay? Burdines.
No, girl.
Okay? But you need to go shopping because the Cuban women understand their sensuality in a way that is very special. And some of it is about Latina-ness with this, but this is also about sensuality.
Yeah.
And we're not comfortable, women of color are not comfortable with sensuality.
Because there's a weakness to it, or you're a whore. You're either too feminine, you're weak, or you're the whore. And there's two extremes.
It's like from that Protestant, the Pilgrim. Like I really like that's because I think that's for white people too. It's like this whole coming from the Pilgrims, like that puritanical, like, dang.
You're back, Rachel. I didn't see you there.
But the other end of it is that, that we're so much selling the sexy thing now that you want to be careful that you're not a bimbo or a video hoe, which is the new word, basically.
Right.
Because now sexy has become actually, and I have to say it's because of Beyonce, really trashy. Sorry.
Well, the hypersexuality too is another extreme that's uncomfortable.
It's not.
So I don't.
Beautiful. This is beautiful. If you were in Miami, you could totally wear this to brunch. Okay?
Yes.
With your linen shift from
Or to the supermarket, or to just to get in the car and step outside and get back in. Like that's just like an everyday.
And your linen jumpsuit short set.
Or like that flowy prince, the dress that the Yemaya wears out of the water.
Like, I'm just trying to help you. I'm telling you. Meet me in Miami. I'm going to be there next week.
Are you really?
I have to get my meal and my bread from La Carreta. I have to stop. My parents have already set it up. I arrive in Miami International Airport and we stop at my spots.
That's awesome.
And then we pick up all the stuff. My dad's like, I got your grouper. I picked it up fresh this morning. It's like, good. We're going to Little Havana. We're going to go to your little coffee shop from when you're a little kid. We're going to get your little cafecito, clarito. So your little counter. Then I go to La Carreta. They have the order ready. The pork chunks to go. Okay, stop playing. Okay? Because they make the best pork chunks with boniatos. Right.
I'm going to give you the address of a place that's going to knock your socks off with the pork rinds.
Shut up. In Miami?
I'm just going to say, fuck yeah, in Miami. It's in Kendall. It's in Kendall.
Oh, God. Stop making me homesick, you two of you. I'm just trying to help you. Then we stopped by the place where I told you Esther Roll used to get her plates of food. Bahamian Connection. It's still open. You get your fresh conch off the boat that morning. And then today it's gone. I was like, but wait, it's like 11. You're late. But wait, I was like, but it's 11 on a Saturday. You're late. Why? Because everything in the ocean, what did this woman tell me? Everything in the ocean in the Bahamas already organic. I said, it is? She's like, because when we done fishing, we done fishing. If you didn't get it for the day, you're not getting it. Because it's organic. There ain't no more. It's organic. There ain't no more. Okay? I'm just trying to tell you. GMOs, that's why we got too much food. It's fake food. In the Caribbean, when it's done, it's done. Because they're only fishing this much. They're only fishing till 2. Okay? Then people got to come in and eat and take a nap. So whatever they don't catch by 2, you ain't eating. I'm just trying to help you.
Thank you.
Bahamian Connection, it is in Little Haiti, in a neighborhood you don't want to be there after dark. With that food, listen. The rice with the gandules and the fresh thyme, listen.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. No wrong with that.
These are the stops that I make. My mother won't even come to the airport. She's like, we got to drive 15 hours before you even get home. I was like, I got to get my stops. I'm just trying to help you. I tried to get Justine to come with me. We got too busy. I was going to take her eating. But, you know.
You never know.
I will come with you.
You better get on the flight. They got some cheap flights out of New York right now. I'm just trying to help you.
You never know. You never know. You never know.
April.
We're going to kidnap. I'm going to kidnap Rachel from her family. And they're not going to know where she is. And she's going to be gone for the weekend. That's what my dad did. When everybody was like, Daddy, you need to cut the yard. And then we need to get the car. It needs to tune up. And you were supposed to take it. And then to the DMV. We needed an inspection. And my dad was like, you want to go to the store? I said, yeah, okay. So me and my brother would get in the car and go to the store. We went fishing in Key West. We came back 2 days later. In that time, we had also, you ready? Taken the boat halfway to Cuba where we met another boat to get some maletas, some suitcases full of some linen from Cuba and some Cuban shirts. And then we took some jeans, Sergio Valente jeans from Bird Eye, and tacones from Madrid. They used to make these high heel shoes, leather pumps with toe cleavage that everybody had to have from Spain. We would buy a bunch of them from the factories on 8th Street. They were in Agapito, my tio's boat, all the boxes stacked up. We meet, I don't know who this man was in this boat that looked like it was falling apart, but he had good things in his suitcases. We switched the suitcases, the Coast Guard's looking that way, and then we came back. We had some conch in Key West. My mother's like, where are you? My father brought me and my brother back, sunburnt from the boat. All these Cuban linen dresses for Teresa. We dropped it off at the factory. She was like, wait a minute. She's like, oh, so-and-so in Havana, she made some dresses and Teresa needed them for the spring. Whatever fashion show. So we dropped it off at Georgiana. She was like, you smuggle dresses from Cuba in here? He was like, they have this spring thing, whatever, So yes, we did. But we got you some tops. And she was like, yeah, take my children to Key West and then you take them on a boat to Cuba. We can be indicted. You know what my father said? I needed a timeout. I needed some me time. He's like, y'all are all pressing on. I needed some me time. She's like, what's my children? And she's like, you have to take your time. And she's like, I never disappear and just go off. And he was like, my father said, that's your choice. I learned in that day. Oh God, this shit would be fucked up. Rachel, you need a vacation.
Not next weekend though. Next weekend is my other son's show, the one I'm in charge of. So I can't be here for the meeting. I'll just listen to you guys after you record it.
Rachel, be in New York.
Yeah.
I'm being in New York in June.
Okay.
You're gonna meet me on the train.
Yes.
Then you're going to disappear.
Okay.
And your phone is going to die.
Your phone is going to die.
Your battery is going to die. And the Apple Store has got to put the battery on order. We won't have it for 24 hours. And you're going to disappear. Smoke some hookah. With the Moroccans in the Lower East Side. Maybe go to Cuba for the weekend. Always. You can go if you give the Coast Guard rum. I'm sorry.
That's so
The
true.
Coast Guard is full of penises and Rolando and my uncle who's a cop has somebody who works for the Coast Guard, and if you just send them a case of something, you could be in Cuba for Saturday. And not to be like, I'm gonna go visit in Cuba. No, you gotta pick up supplies. Only things that you can get in Cuba. Serving food, linen, Cuban linen.
Oh, gosh. Why are you doing this?
And liquor. And if you take over to Cuba, if you take Johnny Walker Johnny Walker Black to Cuba, you can get anything you want because they love it and they can't get it there. Johnny Walker Black Label. I'm just trying to help you. You got some Johnny Walker Black Label, you can come back from Cuba with dresses. You can come back with a few Orishas, okay, and a boat. Many things can be great traded. Sneakers, Johnny Walker Black. Listen, I'm trying to help you. You can get spa time in the hotels because you're not Cuban. So, you can get some free time in the spa. So-and-so's cousin will let you in. My cousins should do this all the time. We'll be like, where were you this past weekend? We went over to the island. This is illegal. Now that you got Johnny Walker. How did you get Johnny Walker? It's like, you just call Rolando. He'll find out who's going to be on the shift that weekend. You send the case to Rolando. He'll drop it off at the station. There won't be no boat. I was like, what is happening here? This is illegal. They were like, why? Miami, Cuba, es lo mismo. It actually just is the same place. I'm just telling you. But you got to get there early because the pasteles will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And the guava will be crusty by 11. And nobody eats crusty guava. I'm just telling you.
No.
I'm kidnapping you, Rachel. Because Rachel has a lot of children and she don't know how to be like, no. And
I get that.
I'm going to help you be like, no. Yes, but something in me, Sabrina, tells me that no isn't quite as elusive for you as it may be for Rachel. Isn't that a very
Possibly.
way of
Very
saying,
possibly.
did you see how political I was? Justine, are you really proud of me? Did you see how subtle I was just then?
Mm-hmm.
That's subtle for you? Shit.
I said,
No,
Rita said,
that's wonderful.
imagine that's not as difficult a problem as Rachel. That's all I was saying.
Beautiful.
That was subtle. That wasn't subtle.
It was so subtle. It was.
Okay.
It was the subtext that was not subtle.